And we're joined by Tara Armstrong here at your campaign. I guess your
Sorry, I'm so busted.
You putting a candy?
I just put a candy in my mouth because. Anyway, I'm so sorry. I'm eating on air, and that's so bad.
We lost the feed on X. We'll complain to Elon in the morning. I'm sure he'll fix it. But we're back on X and YouTube, and hopefully you can rejoin the feed. We were on for 3 hours and 43 minutes. Maybe there's a max on X, but that's
Who
pretty
knew?
good. We're there for quite a while, and we're back though. Mm-hmm. And we have something there now. There's only one box left to report in the Kelowna Centre riding.
Yeah, and we're looking at Christina Lowen pulling ahead by 131 votes right now.
With one more box.
With one more box to report, and then the out of district ballots won't be tabulated until they're all done.
I have no idea, but like these are really close. And right now, the NDP have a one seat lead with 93, with basically almost 94% of the votes counted, right?
Yeah.
The ballot boxes, sorry. Reporting.
Again, I mean, this is really feeling like 2017. I remember being up until the wee hours in the night, just hoping, like watching and looking to see how things were changing or how things were shifting, and really, it was too close to call, and it went to a judicial recount in a couple of ridings. This feels the same way. And I think it's sorry, not 2013, 2017. So I think it's going to be very tight, and I think we're going to be waiting, for a week or so, to really figure out how everything settles out.
How's that Surrey riding going? That's very tight.
Yeah, let's take a look at that one too. So that is Surrey City Centre, and right now separated by 33 votes,
a little wider,
in favor of the NDP. So 33 votes in favor. Actually, the last time I checked it, I think it was
Wasn't it 4 or something?
Well, it was at one point. Yeah, it was 4.
And so they have one advance box left to go, and then one more final voting box, right?
Yeah.
So that could change it.
And look at how low that riding is. 13,600 votes.
Compared to Kelowna.
Yeah, very, very low turnout. Very, very low turnout. Whereas you look at like Surrey Cloverdale, 19,000 turnout there. So definitely
There's still
more.
a couple boxes left there, but it looks like Eleanor's got a pretty strong lead there.
Yeah, Eleanor will unseat Mike Starchuk. Jagrup Brar,
Strong
declared the winner.
Yeah.
Here's another close one at Surrey Guildford, separated by 100 votes. But it looks like Conservatives are overtaking Gary Begg. And again, Gary Begg was the NDP whip, so very prominent in their leadership team. To be unseated with 6 out of 6 reporting, 11 out of 12. So that one could go to a judicial recount as well, with only 100 votes separating. And then Surrey Newton went to the NDP. So, you see the overall split in the province.
Calling in.
It'll be Kent.
You got the NDP and the Conservatives splitting, and it's almost a split in Surrey. So my prediction was correct.
There you go.
Whatever happens in Surrey happens to the rest of the province.
Okay, well, we'll bring Kent on. He's with Loyal and the Loyal headquarters there.
And what is it showing for Loyal right now?
Just congratulations, I think.
With one box left to count, that's
Conceding.
We got it. Okay. One more time, everyone. There's a lot to say. There's a lot not to say tonight, but we are just so proud of you tonight. You are our Loyal, and we are all so proud. We're so proud.
Thank you, Toby. And before we start, I do want to acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Syilx Okanagan people. And what a night! I've been watching these results roll in, and I guess it's fitting that we're sitting at a casino because it's a little bit wild. But what does not surprise me is the fact that we're blowing this out of the water. Because normally, the enemy wouldn't see these results. And it's special thanks to everybody in this room. So can we hear it from you? Unfortunately, it's way too close to call. We're still waiting. It's going up and down, my poor little heart. So we can't call it. But I do want to acknowledge our campaign. We have given this 110%. Of course, when you're going through this every hour, it changes. You go, what can we do differently? What can we knock on more doors? We've knocked on over 13,000 doors. And it's all because of our volunteers. I have the privilege of going out 7 days a week with these amazing volunteers that believe in this movement, that believe in a brighter future for Kelowna. And it's because of all of our volunteers that have worked on this campaign since day one that we're at today. So thank you to our volunteers. And I didn't get my speaking notes, so please forgive me. I have to acknowledge my core team, my campaign manager, Christina Ferreira, just like Samuel in communication, Fidel Davidson in accounting, Jasmine Patrick in social media, Amber Brar and Drayton Nelms in volunteers, Kate Desjardins. There's just so many people that I have to thank that's brought us to this point. Oh, thank you, Chris, just in case I'm missing anyone. And I really want to thank our riding association. Maria Tokarczuk, she has been at this since the 90s. Really hoping to bring home a win. But because of her efforts, because she's believed in people and supporting what we need to grow as a strong community, that's where we're at today. So thank you, Maria. And I have to say, a big thank you to our Okanagan team. Crystal Smith, thank you for joining us here, for running in West Canada. Harpreet Barwal in the Mission, Anna Warwick Sears, Kelowna Country Coldstream. Our NDP family has been so strong. But when I talk about family, these campaigns deeply impact family. And I couldn't do this without the loving support of my husband, Ian, who not only sits up through the countless nights of me arriving home late, not doing laundry, not doing any chores around the house, but he's been working diligently on the data side of the campaign, working every single day to bring this movement to life. So thank you. And I believe that the future of Kelowna is so bright. So bright!
He hasn't conceded though, because there's still votes to be counted, and it's so tight. It's this riding and that other Surrey riding are really, but again, even depending on where they go, there's no majority government really.
No, this is basically a hung parliament, and that's a scary place to be honest. There is no clear majority. There is the speaker that still has to be presented. Even with the BC NDP and the Green Party right now, they would have 48, which means that they'd have to combine forces, and then they would have 47 with the Conservative Party at 45. So that is a very difficult.
They say 2 sick days,
split,
and you could be,
and you could have a decision.
And I would say this would likely favor John Rustad, because you're building from nothing to 45, and all of a sudden you have time to kind of put together a real, a
Yeah.
real platform.
Yeah,
right?
and at 45, you have a lot of noise that you're making in the Legislative Assembly. So you're actually able to pretty much also, really get some good media attention and create some drama in the Legislative
Well, he's a
Assembly.
legitimate candidate now, because when we started interviewing John Russ, said nobody was interviewing him.
No.
And then because they didn't think he was legitimate because he had 2 seats, right? So he
Yeah.
didn't even get any voice. I think we interviewed him 4 or 5 times before anybody else interviewed him.
Yeah.
And now I think obviously he's a legitimate contender. Well, he could still win.
He could still win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right now this one is being counted, right, by the Conservatives or for the Conservatives, and then Kelowna City Centre right now is. It's 40 votes in favor of the NDP. So 39 votes in
And
favor
there's
of
still
the
2
NDP.
boxes. And then the other interesting thing is just a little wrinkle in the ointment there on the Green Party, which most people would think would swing to the NDP. Depending on how much, if Sonia is not the leader, how much sway does Andrew Weaver still have, and does he because he says he'd rather work with Rustad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't
mean,
know how much sway he still has with those 2 candidates.
No, Andrew is pretty much out of
Is he?
the Green Party. He declared himself in the NDP, and now he's obviously supporting John. So I don't think he's a factor at all. But I do think that it's going to be hard for either of those Green MLAs to give up their seats. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens over the course of the next few weeks.
How
If
much did
Sonia
Sonia
tries
lose
to
her
get in.
seat by? That'd be interesting to see.
Let me scroll there for you.
While
She's
you're
so
scrolling and looking for that, curious about the voter turnout in the Central Okanagan with about 100,000 people coming out to vote.
Wow.
Is that historically high? Or?
I would say that that's pretty high. Yeah.
Really, that is.
I think that's very high, all things considered. I mean, I
You're
can
counting the
definitely
4
look up.
ridings, so
Yeah.
Jason. So that would be the Vernon and Lumbee in there too, right?
Coldstream, yeah.
Coldstream, sorry.
Yeah. So just the Kelowna and West Kelowna ridings.
Yeah, anything with
Yeah.
Kelowna and West Kelowna.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good turnout.
Really good.
So we're looking at that's a pretty big pretty big number.
Loss, yeah.
In fact, the Conservative Party
Gave her a run too.
yeah. So Grace Laura at 12,000 votes and Sonia well behind at 8,800.
Yeah.
51.
Like a big gap there,
Yeah.
right? So.
Yeah. So
And
that
didn't she switch ridings though?
she
Wasn't
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did. She would have been in Cowichan, and that was another 3-way horse race. We can definitely look at that one because it was so close when we first looked at it. There was some, but the Cowichan Valley, it looks like now it's just the 2 horses with the NDP pulling forward. So this is one that was held
That's
by the
tight
Green
too, right?
Party.
But it's still got 1 box left. But it's, I mean,
Yeah.
these races, although they look
800.
like they're decided, they're still very, very tight. Eh?
Yeah, yeah. But look at this. Delta South, Ian Payton, sitting MLA incumbent, and look at 2,000 votes separated him from the NDP. So, not particularly a landslide victory there. 55% to 45%. Here's another one, Camille Curry. That's our second run on that particular riding. But Darlene Rochford in Esquimalt Colwood, which was Mitzi Dean, who stepped down and said she wasn't going to run again. So that one remaining firmly in the NDP hands.
Strong win there.
Yeah, Tony Luck in the Fraser Nicola Conservative Party. That's when Jackie Taggart was not asked to join the Conservatives, and so she decided not to run at all. Looking like that one has gone to the Conservatives there. Here's another very close one between the NDP and the Conservatives. That's Wanda Fuka Malahat. So that is part of John Horgan's old riding. But look at that,
That's
only
still
separated by
undecided.
40
Yeah,
votes.
that's still undecided,
Yeah,
really, right?
40
With
votes.
2 boxes, like 1 advance. I mean, that could go anyway still. So, I mean, this is clearly not decided, right?
No, and I mean, I think it's going to take a couple weeks to have the dust settle, to do the judicial recounts, and to figure out who's actually going to take government. And during that time, the BC Green Party will be talking. They will be talking with the 2 parties. Those parties will be will be trying to vie for that tail to attach to them. But right now, as it stands, the Conservatives with the Green Party couldn't actually take government because they need one more vote or one more MLA, one more seat in order to actually hold the balance of power. But that is such a tightly held balance that, man, I would not want to be in Parliament with that tight of a held.
So this probably, if this is where it stays, this likely means we're going to get an election way before the 4 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. This is a little bit more here. We've got 140 votes now separating Christina and Loyal, with Christina pulling forward by 0.5% now, leading. So yeah, definitely more in her favor as it moves forward. Again, great turnout with 24,755 votes. Yeah. Yeah. So, I this is going to be difficult over the next.
So I don't know how long we stick around here, 10 o'clock. But maybe we'll give it a little bit more. And then the newsroom will probably be here for a while. But we're basically watching paint dry at this point.
No, I mean, yeah. What does this mean? What does this signal? Well, what it signals is that Jason and I were correct so far. In our minority NDP, that was our call, but close, Conservative behind. So we'll see as the votes get counted. But I'm going to reiterate what you said earlier, Jim, and that is that every vote counts. And hopefully, if we do return to the ballots really quickly, I'm just going to say, everyone's going to need to get out to vote. John's got his work cut out for him in terms of uniting that right side and making sure that those independents are not running again. Would they run again? Probably not at this point. We don't see a single independent anywhere. I questioned, is this the year of the independent? We're not seeing Mike Bernier or Dan Davies take their seats, and I thought that was where it was most possible. I have not checked lately Corinne Kirkpatrick and to see where she was at. We could do a quick boo on that. West Vancouver, Capilano. But again, would they run again? Probably not. And so would that be, more of a Conservative? Maybe, but it certainly would be decided if we actually saw John do the work of getting those together.
I mean, what this does do, if you're looking at it from John's perspective, it's a big victory for the number of seats that came in there. And if they get an election, if there's a forced election early, it gives him time to prepare more. Because
agreed.
I think even his own popularity caught him by surprise. I think that, all of a sudden you got to fully cost out a platform, and you got to fully pull out a platform, and maybe gives him a chance to look at the candidates that he did run the Strongwoods keep, and then maybe replace some of the other ones. Yeah,
and do some repair. So yeah.
And then David Eby on his side, he's really got to look at what the NDP are pushing. And say that's not what British Columbians want.
This is a loss.
Right? He's got to go back to the drawing board, right? And he's got to say, so many of their MLAs lost their seats, and he's got to look at that and say, this is they're on the wrong track.
Yeah, and more will lose their seats if there's a united right, because what you're also seeing is that the BC Greens are only 8% of the vote. That's very low. In fact, that's lower than I've seen them in many, many years. So they've already got the vote that they can possibly get. So I don't see that really changing either. So this is those come to Jesus moments where both of those leaders are going to have to look at the work they have ahead of them and do it, because we're going to be back at the ballot box.
They're going to have to look in the mirror for sure, right? They're going to have to look in the mirror and really, hopefully they both look in the mirror and say, I hope David Eby sticks to his word and said that's enough of this negative rhetoric. And figure out what's good for British Columbians and not what's, this rhetoric. I think it's started, federal, U.S., you know what I mean? And it seems to be like it worked, so they ran with it for a while, right?
Yeah.
And but no party's not innocent in either, though.
No, I agree. No party is innocent, but I would say it did not resonate with the electorate. Yeah. This is a clear vote against Eby. We just heard Loyal say that this is the best the NDP have ever done in this riding or in this area. I think he's right. We talked earlier about, is it person, is it party? this case, it would be a real person. People, are voting for Loyal, but not enough. And if this was to be rerun again,
Yeah, they
the
wouldn't get the Michael
Conservative
Humer vote.
right,
Would be gone. Yeah.
exactly, and Christina would win with a larger number. I just refreshed it, and now we're looking at still 142 on the lead there. So still really close to call. Still one more final day ballot box to count. So.
Well, if it doesn't change much, we might call it like a 10-15. I know that we've been at this for a while. Because it's slow going right now, and this could take days, right?
Yes, and that is the reality. A lot of these are going to go to recounts. We talked about Wanda Fuka-Malahat. We're looking at it right now with Marina. And forgive me, Speznikov. Sorry, Conservative Party right now.
I think you got pretty good on that, actually.
But thank you. But behind right now by 45 votes. So that's just too close to call, and that's gonna that's closer than what we're seeing in Kelowna Center. So when they're trailing by 43 votes, that is literally one of the ones that could flip. And Surrey City Center is another one where the Conservative Party is trailing right now by 35 votes. And that's another one that could flip. So if you got two flips, you'd now be looking at, again, 47 to 44. And then you're getting into that territory where, the Conservative Party might be able to take a considerable.
So if you have questions in the next 15 minutes or so, you can definitely put them in, and then we'll try to answer them best as we can. And our newsroom will probably be here later than us, and they'll be going through it and putting up the final stories, but we'll be back in the morning as well. And we'll have the newsletter that goes out in the morning. And again, a big thanks to Renee for doing this. It's the amount of coverage that we've done tonight is I think for Kelowna Now, we've upped our game, and a big thanks to Renee for that.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me and letting me, be here with you all as we go through this evening and this election. Very exciting election. Still yet to be decided, and anyone's call right now. So
much knowledge and so much care for this community. And that's what we need is more people that care. Right?
Thank you.
Jason, how are you feeling back there?
It has been a wild ride here tonight. I will say that. And definitely juggling like a 3-ring circus.
I've done a few. I've done.
You're doing a great job. Thank you.
I've done a few interviews with Mario Canseco, and I would say he basically called it.
He did.
Just right to the wire, right? So it's sometimes these polls, I think all the pollsters are showing it to be pretty neck and neck, right?
Yeah, and if we look at the percentages, I think that the polls have all shown this, right? Even tonight, has it flip-flopped and
back
flopped
and
around?
forth.
So 44% of the total popular vote going to the NDP, 43.5%, separated by 1%, basically 44.57 and 43.48. So really what we've seen in the polls over the last few weeks is literally what we are seeing before us tonight with the results.
The surprising one for me that I keep looking at it's the total vote, 871 to 893. That 20,000 that 20,000 just kind of stays there, right? It's not like fluctuating too much. So we don't have very many boxes to come. We have 95% in. So
So I think I'm willing to call it for the night. I think it's too close to call. This would result in a hung parliament. With no real majority. So
well, we'll go for another 7 minutes if anybody has any questions or any thoughts, and we kind of wrap this up. There was talk that we were trying to get Christina Lowen on. She was celebrating downstairs here, just in a restaurant here in Midtown. But there's Sophie giving us
Sophie!
A round of applause. Thank you, Sophie.
Yes.
We'll be here for the federal election. Look, I just talked Renee into it.
Oh, I would love to be here for the federal.
That would be an amazing one, right?
Our local won't be as riveting, but it will be
but
very
just across the
interesting
country,
to watch.
It would be very interesting election, right? That one will have Canadians glued to whatever monitor they have, and they'll be watching that one with bated breath, right?
Yeah. Oh,
and, So.
Well, and the U.S. election is actually in the next, 19
I think 16 days, 16 days, I think, something like that, November 4th. So big election.
Thank you, R Online.
There you go. The U.S. election. I don't know if that's our place to do, but an exciting one to do.
Why not? Let's do it.
Let's do it. Mario Canseco, again, the pollster, does a lot of work on the U.S. election, so we could have him come in on it too, right?
Absolutely.
So that is an interesting one for sure.
Brian Lilly is another one who does a lot of commentating.
Yeah, there you go.
about
So,
it.
yeah.
So we could have some really fun ones.
No, it's good to kind of do play by play, and I think it's a good thing
Thank you, WE.
for youth to kind of like even to watch this, because like their voice matters, right? Like you can see, your kids, they talked about the election and stuff like that too, right? So I think it's really good to get people. Does anybody have any idea on the mail-in ballots?
No, that number has not been revealed.
Yeah.
I haven't heard a number, but my suspicion is that Elections BC will probably produce a number once they are all counted. There's usually a certain grace period whereby they get them all to come in, and then that cutoff, they'll announce the number at that point.
That'll be a question some of our reporters will probably. Yes, you can cover the U.S. election. I'd volunteer. Well, there you go. We got a volunteer.
And so, WME, just so you know, I actually grew up in the U.S. So
well,
for me, I have family members that were just recently in town, and obviously, like, there is a lot of talk about the U.S. election. So definitely something that happens around the table at my family.
And that's
too.
a big election down there. Like that's a show and a half.
And
right?
again, one that's very difficult to call one way or the other. Obviously, a different electoral system.
They got the electoral college kind of thing and the popular vote. No, I mean that you have to win the electoral college, right?
Yeah,
so and the swing states it's all about the swing states, right? So.
Yeah. But right now, just to update, Wanda
Swing
Fuka,
states here in Kelowna, Michigan. Sorry.
It's true. Just an encouragement. Literally, Kelowna Center could be, one of those ridings
we
that
finally
decides.
matter, right?
Yes, we matter so much. We
Instead
matter
of the lower
so
mainland
much.
mattering, it's Kelowna Center that matters.
Everyone's going to pay attention to us from here on out.
Yeah.
But 40 votes, Wanda Fuka, Malahat, 40 votes separating Marina Spoznikov and Dana Largenes. So 40
Still a
votes.
couple boxes
that's
to go
just
there, right?
Too,
So that's
too close to
and
call.
we don't know when those boxes will come in.
No, and then Kelowna Center right now, Christina Lowen pulling forward 10,738 to 10,587. So pulling up by about 150 votes right now. So, I mean, it's not a lot. Before we were at obviously that was flipped with Loyal in the lead. Now Christina in the lead, but we're literally.
But it seems to be trending one way too, right? So
it does. It really.
Stats
really
have
does.
a funny way of doing those things, right? Like unless you have a box from some, you know what I mean? Like there's a different demographic, but stats tend to work, right? Like,
yeah, and we saw that, even in the election that I did. Thank you, Ryan. Yes, so appreciate you and appreciate you being here until the bitter end too. So thanks for that. Surrey City Centre separated by 40 votes. So definitely one to watch as well. Surrey Cloverdale. That one looks like Eleanor. It's safe to almost call that one at this point. So we do have a few that could flip, and if they do, by that 40 or 50 votes, we could see these numbers change. And right now, because they are one apart, that change could be very dramatic indeed.
Very interesting for sure. Getting noisy out in the newsroom there. Must be all returning. We're going to go another 2 minutes, and then we're going to leave with the election coverage decision desk that Jason has put together. But again, you can continue to check on Kelowna Now. The reporters will be there updating the stories. But like Renee said, I don't think we're going to have a firm decision tonight. Yeah. It doesn't look like even if we do get a couple of those things, it's still mail-in ballots, and there's a couple things, and they're so close, right? They're so tight, right?
Yeah, and just a big plug for Kelowna Now. If you're not signed up to their newsletter right now, I am signed up. I get it every morning at 7 a.m. It's one of the media pieces that I read every single morning as part of my media scan to know what's happening and to know what's happening locally. So please, if you are not signed up, sign up. It's super easy. It's an email address, and it literally drops into your inbox every single morning. So if you don't already have it, and I am not being paid to
we have no money to pay anybody.
So I'm doing this because I really believe in our local media. I believe in having a voice. We've seen comments to that effect, that how valuable it is to really be covering it local and to be getting those local updates. I remember that when I during my election and the election previous, I was busy watching CBC and trying to figure it
Look
out.
at that.
So, thank you. Thank you so much,
There you
WME. I don't know if it requires a petition, but but thank you. Thanks for the encouragement tonight, guys. Being here with you has been such a joy.
Big shout out to the news team, though. I just want to let you know,
Yes.
Kent Mulgat is one of the he's out there in the field all the time. Ran the CTV desk here in Kelowna.
Yes.
One of the more experienced reporters in Kelowna. Steve McNull was the business editor for the Daily Courier for 30 plus years.
Yes.
He's been here now for about 4 or 5 years. I think Kent's been here about 8 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Jason Mann's been with Vista Radio, Bell Radio, Bell Media. I don't know how many radio stations.
About 200. Yeah.
Many radio stations.
Thank you, Michael.
Ian Burns, our managing editor, worked for the Daily Mail, and he
Yes.
works for us. I think he's been here for about 5 years. One of the more intelligent, very, very strong pluralist, definitely non-biased, and definitely really defends Kelowna Now and really defends our pluralist kind of like non-biased way we try to report. And then we had a young person in Corvin. That's just a new person, that's out there working in the field. And Cheyenne's been with us probably about 4 or 5 years as well. She does the City Beat. And then, of course, Megan Trudeau, not related. Megan Trudeau has been with us, I think, probably for 8 years as well.
Oh, wow.
A seasoned journalist, and she works at the Victoria office. And then my son Nick is Kent's cameraman, so there you go. And then, I do a lot of these video interviews now, and we'd love to have Renee back to do more elections. I think we need to make her a political analyst. So
thank you.
with that said,
I think I just got a job offer, actually.
There you go.
And luckily, you don't have to pay me.
There you go. That's the best kind. And look, I even put on a fancy suit for everybody.
I know, you look great. You look great.
And
honestly, that is the respect that we owe all of the candidates
For sure.
that have put their names
Absolutely.
on ballots and that
Absolutely.
we're here tonight.
Absolutely. And lastly, we want to thank you, the viewer, that we've had quite a few people on tonight watching, and we thank you for that. And then there's all the people that are going to watch it after. We're going to cut it together and put it together. And with that, we're going to sign off for tonight and let Renee sign us out.
Oh, thank you for being here. Thank you, Jim. You are outstanding. You and Nikki, and how you have led in the city. Thank you so much for all that you do to keep our media local. And a big shout out to you. And thank you all again. I echo what Jim said. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. And until next time.
One more second, Jason. Just I want to say for media, we think there should be multiple voices in a market. We need multiple voices of media. We can't have just one voice. And we need CBC. We need CTV. We need Global. We need all the voices, right? So we need a strong media. That's what we need. So
We do. Thanks so much. Have a great night.
And take us out, Jason.